Hey, hi again. You now heard all about the Exxon Valdez saga. Well, what you may not have heard is what happened to a number of us behind the scenes during all of that period. First, let me tell you that Exxon, who seemed anyway to us to have wanted Hazelwood intoxication when the ship went aground, three of us were hired by Exxon to see whether he was or was not drunk. But Exxon didn't tell any of us about the other two. It turns out that we each handled the problem in about the same way. We assessed the recordings that were made of his voice when he came on deck, and then we went after his speech as it related to what little was known about intoxication and its effects on speech. And then finally, we took a look at some of the other kinds of things that could have been happening to him, like fatigue or depression or other emotions. Well, we all came out, it turns out, at about the same place, that Hazelwood, Captain Hazelwood, was not intoxicated. And if anything, he was fatigued. Yeah, apparently he had had a big night the night before and was tired. And the trial, the criminal trial, seemed to agree with what we had decided. And he was not exonerated, but certainly he was not convicted of being intoxicated, and mostly due to the fact that practically all of his crew testified that he was not. Of course, he was convicted of malfeasance, because after all he went to bed when he shouldn't have. And that's the way it stood. Exxon was also convicted. And then came the civil case in Alaska. All of the rules changed for that one. Exxon not only didn't want to fire us anymore, but they wanted to put us back into action with more research on whether Captain Hazelwood was intoxicated or not. Now we found out about each other, but unfortunately Lou Gersman had died, and Peter Lederforgen, who were the other two guys, Peter Lederforgen from UCLA and Lou Gersman from NYU, Peter Lederforgen didn't want to work. So I wound up as about the only person doing the research. And by then, a lot more research had been done. David Pisoni at Indiana had done some good research, and of course my group and I had done quite a bit of research on the effects of intoxication on the speech of people. It came out about the same way. And then there were a whole series of depositions where David Pisoni and I sat across the table from each other, wishing that we could have gotten together and solved what had gone on between us. But boy, they wouldn't let us do that. In any case, we both wrote reports, sent them in to the judge, and the judge picked up mine and took that part of the case against Hazelwood out of the trial, and it went on without any of those. So a lot had happened behind the scenes, and a lot of research had been done, and the area of the effects of intoxication on speech and voice had advanced. Well, thanks loads. See you later.